right, welcome back to Sunrise Daily. So we're moving on to a matter that, well, there was protest yesterday about this subject matter, which we've got both persons here with us. They are here to explain to us what exactly is going on. I had to struggle with it a bit. It was really long. But let me start with you. Margaret Ibiku is the chairman, Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria Public Complaints Commission chapter. And then we also do have A.M. Bechile, who is the National Chairperson, Women Commission of Hassan as well. I hope I got that right. That's
yes,
it, right?
You got it.
Okay.
Right.
Good morning to both of you. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
Morning.
Now, there was some protest, of which both of you were there. The images we also did have and still do have in terms of how you say things are not being done properly. So maybe you should just start with explaining to us, what was this protest about in the first place?
Okay, the protest was basically between the staff and the management of the Public Complaints Commission. And for you to really have understanding of what has transpired or what is going on, we will take a few steps back. Public Complaints Commission was created in 1975, but during the military era, and it was under the National Assembly all along, according to the Act. But during the military era, when there was no leadership of the National Assembly, it was taken to the presidency. But when democracy returned, precisely in 2012, there was a circular from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation asking the Public Complaints Commission to return to the National Assembly in all issues, financially, budgetary, and all ramifications. And that means that both the staff, everything, were now moved to the National Assembly. But since that time, we've had this gap. All those years from 2012 to now, we've had this gap. Where does the Public Complaints Commission draw its funding from? Who is responsible for funding the Public Complaints Commission? And it has also affected the welfare of the staff because we've had repeated cases of shortage in salary payments. So the latest crisis now is about the change of salary structure. It took the National Assembly 9 years for the Senate President then to write to the Public Complaints Commission asking for its staff to now migrate to the legislative salary structure based on the circular and the return to the National Assembly. And after this is 3 years after that circular, the circular is yet to be implemented in full. And what has happened is that last year, when the economy started going, inflation started happening, the removal of swaps and fuel subsidy, the federal government tried to come in for its workers. There was a 40% increase in peculiar allowances. We couldn't assess it. Neither could we assess this new salary structure. According to the management of the PCC, they have been short-funded, according to them. So they are not able to meet up with the payments of this salary, despite it has received approval from the approving authorities. The Salaries, Income and Wages Commission has approved this salary scale for the staff. And despite that, this year again, we've had the 35,000 that was also awarded to federal government workers to cushion the effect. The staff couldn't also assess it.
Did they say why?
Yes, because we couldn't say where we were. Were we under actually the legislature? Were we also actually under the executive arm of government? And according to the management of the office, they have applied. They have really gone to see if they could get out this 35,000, and they've not been able to. So the staff were patient enough, being that we are trained people that work with the Public Complaints Commission. You become very patient.
Now you're complaining now.
Yes, we become very patient because you hear people's complaint every day and you try to solve people's problems every day. So you become a very patient person. So for 3 years, we've been patient, believing that 2024, because all through last year we had industrial dispute, went as far as Ministry of Labor, did everything that we had to do to see that this problem is solved. And we came into 2024 thinking that this problem will be solved. And yet again, we were confronted again by the management saying that they still do not have enough funding. And while we were still talking about the issue of funding, the issue of status also came up. Because we were at the meeting, what led to the protest now, we were at a meeting last week, and one of the principal officers of the National Assembly came up with a position that the Public Complaints Commission does not belong to the National Assembly. So the people are worried. There is a circular from 2012. There is an act saying return to the National Assembly. And now you're telling us, and all these years, it will surprise you to know that the last minimum wage, it took us 2 years, almost 2 years before we could key into it, because there was nobody responsible for us.
Under what platform did you key into? National Assembly?
Yeah, we eventually had to go on strike. block the gates of PCC nationwide, and then the government had to intervene and ask the Minister of Finance to release funds. That was how we were able to assess the last minimum wage after. So this problem, like I said, has been a running battle. Who is responsible? Who is responsible? And if you know the position of the Public Complaints Commission, the Nigerian Ombudsman is not an office that nobody should be responsible for. It's not an office that should be going around begging for funds. So these are the issues. And as of yesterday, the staff had enough, because it's been a battle for how many years that we've not had anybody speak to us and clear issues. Well,
so we have tried to get across to the National Commissioner, but at the moment they say they won't speak, but they'll put up a statement till up until this time. No word, no statement to us either. So you're not alone on that one. But what is your perspective on the matter?
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. My perspective is this: the act is there for us clearly. We have been returned to the National Assembly. They said financially and in every way. They came up with a meeting which we met with the leadership of the National Assembly, and some things were explained. But that is that. They said we're not under the Service Commission, so we do not draw their funds from them. But our funding comes from the National Assembly. I remember the last administration when we were on this battle, and we're following closely as the union with the then chief executive and their commissioners. And they went to the National Assembly and they told them, we're under you now and we're lacking funds. And the National Assembly, in presenting their next budget, said this commission is under us, under the legislature, and we do not have funds. It was because of that funds were now given. Although our leadership says that the funding is not enough, that is what they have said, which we try to agree with them. But in the course of understanding, the staff are getting worried and tired. As we're having our Congress yesterday, what led to the closing of this gate was, while we're having our Congress to brief our members on what transpired in the National Assembly last week, Wednesday, we saw another circular that came out that we should now be coming to work 5 times a week. It was 3 times because of the conditions, and they've not been able to meet up the 35,000, which other ministries and parastatals have been enjoying. The 40% we have not met, so they cut it 2 days off for us so that we can, come today and, like that, 3 times a week. But when we saw that circular, we're like, we have not sorted one problem and we're getting into another one. So they start. Is
it the one signed by Modukwe Kolawole?
No.
That's a different one.
No. This is signed by our present.
So was that protest spontaneous?
Yeah. We wouldn't say it was spontaneous, because we had an agreement with them that if the meeting on Thursday at the National Assembly did not work out, we didn't come up with answers, and that we didn't meet with the Senate President, we will proceed on strike on Thursday. But then the meeting, we did not meet with the Senate President. We did not have any answers. But yet again, because we've been trained to be very patient, we are mediators. We were like, okay, let's still be patient. Let's see how we can manage the staff and the members of the union to be patient till next week. Since they have told us that they will have series of meetings this week and get back to us. But then we come on Monday and there are so many threats, and, the management is all fire and brimstone and threatening the staff. And the staff said, look, we've had enough. This is how many years of the threats and not getting what we want. And it's just okay. It's enough. Let's shut down.
I'm just, fascinated by the fact that first, at the leadership of the unions, you have 2 women. You know how women can be very patient until they can be patient no more. So, I sincerely hope that the management will do something, because it's not going to be very funny to have women on rampage. I'm just looking, though. The fact that you've said that you have been very patient, and that this is actually quite provocative. When you look at the circumstances, for years it has been very difficult for government, because basically this is a government problem, to decide precisely where they would like to house, the Public Complaints Commission, something that is very, very important. So I'm wondering, as somebody as a Nigerian, first, what would you like? Where would you like to be housed? Do you think that it is proper for you to be at the National Assembly, or would it be better for you if you were under the executive arm of government?
Well, it's not about what we like. It's about what is the right thing. Nigeria runs a legislative ombudsman. There are different types of ombudsman, the executive, the legislative. Nigeria runs the legislative ombudsman. And it is clear, the act is clear. The National Assembly recommends people, they screen people, they appoint them, they swear them in. Everything that has to do with the Public Complaints Commission and its leadership comes from the National Assembly. So at this point, it's not about choice.
It's about what is proper.
It is about what is proper.
So it is proper for you to be at the National Assembly.
It is what is proper.
So why is it so difficult then to just regularize your staying at the National Assembly?
Well, now, there are different schools of thought. Some people are saying, being that there is the ombudsman, we should be independent. There's a level of independence there. But then we also know that there are 3 arms of government all over the world, and that you must identify under one arm of government. Yes. So we are under the legislative, and we expect people to know that we can't, no matter how independent you are, you must identify under one arm of government. So for us as the legislative ombudsman, the act says we are from the National Assembly. There's a circular from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, a 12-year-old circular. And we're wondering, we're also asking if in instances, because I don't know if there are other agencies or government organizations going this, but we believe that when circulars are passed, such important circulars, the government should have set up a committee that will bring this division, the separation and the returning. But I don't think anything was done to that effect. So it's left this lacuna for 12 years.
It doesn't also appear that the National Assembly has prioritized your own welfare and the welfare of your commission, even as it is residing within their own with their own remits now.
No, they have not. They have not. Because if you see yesterday when the staff were protesting, they were calling on Senator Akpabio. They kept shouting, Akpabio, Akpabio, come and listen, come and answer us. You can't have a commission. If you open the National Assembly website right in front of you, institutions under the National Assembly, the Public Complaints Commission is the first you will see. And yet you don't fund us. This year they gave us 770 million to run an office that has 38 offices, 37, plus the headquarters, and then we are also in the local governments. Now we also investigate in places where we need to go across rivers. Because if you're in Bayelsa and somebody is complaining from where he came on a flying boat, you have to go to where he is complaining from to attend to him. So it's a vast institution, and the Nigerian government knows the role that this institution has to play for the country to remain sane. Because this is where the common man can come to. When his head is full and he doesn't have money in his pocket, he can walk in here.
We're completely under them because our budget goes straight to the committee level. We are one of those parastatals or commissions that don't take our budget to the floor or just to the presidency to present. We go straight to the committee level, which means we're under them and they are aware of that. That's why we have the ethics and privileges overseeing us.
I'm just a little surprised because the National Assembly, has first-line charge also in the national budget. So if they have a first-line charge,
like the PCC.
Where is this talk coming about from, underfunding of the PCC?
That still brings us back to the question, who funds the PCC? Because if you ask the National Assembly, they'll tell you we don't fund them. They also have a first-line charge. The PCC at some point being confused in this whole process also got into a first-line charge. So there's a whole lot going on. And the staff feel, look, if this is a prestigious institution, this is an institution that fights administrative injustice, which means we should be the model of how administration should work. And so if this issue is happening, we don't know where to draw funding from. You go to Ministry of Budget, they say you're under National Assembly. You go to National Assembly, they say we don't have anything to do with it. In fact, the little we gave you, we just gave you to support you. And so, I think the government, from the president, everybody has to sit down and understand who is responsible for the Public Complaints Commission.
Wasn't that stated in the laws establishing it?
It was stated, but all these movements up and down, they are in a better position to understand because the staff are telling you as it is. We are telling you that for 12 years, we don't know where we draw our funds from. Who is responsible for our financing? Like you said, the National Assembly should be able to fund us because there is a circular to that effect. But they are not doing that, and they also have their own reasons why they are not doing that. And then you go to the executive and they say, no, you don't belong here. There's a circle of 12 years that has sent you back. But then we also know the executive brings what we call MTEF, some part of the budget. So it's all muddled up and it's all confusing. And that's what's leading to this whole lingering crisis that has been going on for years. Because we solve one problem, the next year we'll get into another one.
Your union is affiliated, I can see clearly, you're wearing the NLC logo.
Yes.
So this should have been something that is also on the front burner of the NLC. How has it been taken up by the leadership of the NLC?
Well, the PASA national body has, I'm sure the NLC is aware of this, but how unionism works is that they will leave the affiliates to at least try to solve the problem, which is what PASA national is doing. They sent their national officer here. And when they can no more solve the problem, perhaps at that stage it will now be escalated to become a nationwide NLC issue.
How many members of staff are we looking at here?
We're looking at 4,000, almost 4,000, 3,990 staff all over the Federation.
3,990 staff have not been paid for how long now?
We have been paid in percentages.
For how long?
For all through last year, we couldn't get the approved salary structure. This year, we got a percentage of it this January. So that is it.
Ayo.
Thank you, Chamberlain and Malcolm. Let me ask you, Mrs. Beku, would it surprise you to know, for instance, that there are a number of Nigerians who are hearing about your organization for the very first time, the Nigerian Ombudsman? I'm pretty sure you are not surprised. So that leads to the question, what's the structure? How is the commission, the Public Complaints Commission, structured? Who is the head of that commission?
Okay. The structure of the Public Complaints Commission is that it has the Honorable Chief Commissioner, and then it has 36 commissioners and the FCT commissioner. These commissioners are appointed by the National Assembly for a tenure of 3 years, renewable another tenure of 3 years. And then we have offices all over the country, in every state, down to strategic local governments in zones in the state. We have offices. And I always tell people, maybe the elitist class will say they don't know about Public Complaints Commission, because when they have problems, they easily get lawyers. You can easily say, okay, I'll call my lawyer. But the regular Nigerian who doesn't have a high income, when he has a problem, he knows where he wants to go to, the Public Complaints Commission. So we are actually a very busy office doing work, but then because of funding too, we can't afford to give ourselves the kind of publicity we need. If we had the funding, we'll be here on channels and then you'll be publicizing what we are doing. But it still all boils down to what is obtainable, the issue of funding that has also been a very major problem. But like I'll tell you,
yes,
the
just a second,
Nigerian,
madam.
The Nigerian on the street, in the marketplace, in places you least expect, in the mechanic workshops, they know about the Public Complaints Commission, because we reach them at the grassroots.
Yes, the Public Complaints Commission, my apologies,
and that the doors are open. You don't need a dime to come to the Public Complaints Commission.
Yes.
You can come in at any point.
If you can hear me, madam, I hope you can hear me. Yeah. The interesting thing is, as you said, the Public Complaints Commission is not just for a section of people, it's for everyone in Nigeria, I would assume. Now, I wanted to know about the headship of the organization, because naturally, if they are appointed by the National Assembly, and as Malcolm said, they have first-line charge, then they shouldn't be complaining that they don't have any money at all. Exactly how is the National Commissioner of the Public Complaints Commission, how is he taking this news? The fact that, as you said, there isn't enough money. Just in the course of the week, we heard that about 90 ministries, departments, and agencies have not been paid as well. Exactly what is the National Commissioner doing about this particular matter?
Well, the issue of whether we have enough money is also another thing that we'll have to is a two-way thing. What is the the Chief Commissioner doing? Well, he's doing his own best to see that he can attract enough funds to the commission. And so that's just what I can say. I think in his own right, he's doing his own best, according to him, to see how he can attract funds. For 3 years, we've been at it. But the people are also wondering, there are pertinent issues. There are things that have also caused problem and rift between the people, the staff and the management, because we keep wondering, most times we have to make sacrifices for, capital projects to be executed. And we all know that in governance, especially in public administration, personnel costs is the first thing that has to be settled.
The reason I'm asking these questions, well,
not able to understand.
It's understandable. Just 1 second, madam. Yes, just 1 second, if you can hear me.
Projects. So these are some, like I said, these issues are hydra-headed.
It's understandable, madam. Just 1 second, if you can hear me. Let me ask Mrs. Chile, this same is a related question. Now, is this organization being supervised by any commissioner? I know that you have mentioned that you go straight to the committee. Is it a committee of the National Assembly that supervises the Public Complaints Commission, or is there a particular senator or House of Reps member that supervises the functions of the commission? Mrs. Chile, can you hear me? Yes. Is it the National Assembly, is it a senator or a member of the House of Representatives or a particular committee that you mentioned that supervises the commission and ensures that the needful is done, or the responsibilities of the commission has to be scaled up somewhere else?
Okay, thank you. It's the Ethics and Privileges Committee of the National Assembly. You have the senator who is the chairman of the Ethics and Privileges. And when you go down to the House of Reps, you also have a chairman, Ethics and Privileges. So these two people, public petitions, these two people oversee the runnings and affairs of Public Complaints Commission. They are the overseers.
Good. So I'm asking that so that we know exactly where the buck stops about this particular issue. Are they aware of this protest? Are they aware of this 3-year debacle?
Yes, they're very aware of it. We had a meeting with them. When we talked about the leadership earlier on, we had a meeting with them last week, and they promised to look into it, and they are on it. And we're meant to have another meeting which they promised the Senate president would have to be there so that we can put this to an end, because they have tried their own bit, but they said there's little to which they can do. It still boils down to funding, and the only person that can come in is the Senate president. That's why you saw our members yesterday calling on the Senate president to come in, because we don't know how to see him quickly, but when there's this media presence, we believe that this will get to him and he will call us to the table to sort this thing that's been lingering for 3 years once and for all.
Yes, one last question from me, Mrs. Chile. What are the consequences if the president of the Senate or the National Assembly as a whole does not wade in quickly to this issue? What are the consequences?
The consequences we'll stand action. We'll continue what we've... Right now, our offices are all locked. The headquarters in Maitama is locked. 36 states, local governments are all locked. We are not working. And public complaints is the hope of the common man, the last hope. They can't go to court, so they always come to us with their issues. So it's so sad that we are the ones now complaining, because we need this to be able to help them. So if the Senate president and who needs to talk to us does not get to us, then our gates remain locked. We are not working because we can't be lying to ourselves.
Well, talk to us about this data, this PCC performance data. We see that between 2015 and 2019, it says only about 87,461 cases have been resolved out of the 209,745 reported to the Commission. And that's according to your person, actually.
Okay. Most of our cases are against government agencies. And you see that most of the ones that have resolved, if there is a breakdown, you'll see most of them are resolved in the private sector. It happens with speed of lightning. But then you're pursuing a government agency. To say, why did you sack this person, or why haven't you paid this contractor? Most times they wouldn't even reply. Most times you will have to summon them before they will come to you. So most of the cases you see there pending are mostly the cases against the public sector. they take quite a little time for you to resolve cases in the public sector because the government proves to be the most recalcitrant of respondents that we have. So that is why you see that's little gap there.
So those who should be obeying the law and enforcing them are the ones who are doing what ought not to be. All right, again, just to restate that, we did reach out to the National Commissioner so that they can speak to these issues, but no response. State Commissioner, right?
Chief Commissioner.
Chief Commissioner, no response as of yet. So we hope that they will address all of these matters. Well, we thank you for coming on. Margaret Ubeku is the Chairman, Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, Public Complaints Commission chapter, as well as Yembe Chile, who is National Chairperson of the Women Commission of the same chapter. Thank you both, and we hope this is resolved as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, so Polycarp, Agubola, or talk about Dixon and several others. We do see your messages. We appreciate all of you. Please keep your comments coming through. Of course, we'll look to them tomorrow. But thank you for, oh, okay, we can. All right.
Can we? Mm-hmm.
That was about electoral reforms. So, all right, not to worry. We'll see them, but we're out of time. Apologies again. So thank you for watching the show today. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Goodbye.
Don't stretch the patience of a woman already stretched. Thank you for watching this morning. I'm not going
to say anything about that. Have a wonderful and beautiful, productive day. I'm Ayo Makinde.